The 2005 Conservative leadership election was called by party leader Michael Howard on 6 May 2005, when he announced that he would be stepping down as leader in the near future. However, he stated that he would not depart until a review of the rules for the leadership election had been conducted. Given the high level of dissatisfaction with the current system, ultimately, no changes were made and the election proceeded with the existing rules, which were introduced in 1998. The contest formally began on 7 October 2005, when the chairman of the 1922 committee, Michael Spicer, received a letter of resignation from Howard. Nominations for candidates opened immediately, and closed on 13 October. The first round of voting amongst Conservative members of Parliament took place on 18 October and Kenneth Clarke was eliminated, leaving David Davis, David Cameron and Liam Fox to go through to the second ballot on 20 October. In the second ballot, Fox was eliminated, leaving Cameron and Davis to go through to a postal ballot. The ballot, whose result was declared on 6 December, saw Cameron win 68% of votes to Davis's 32%. Candidates. Results. The first ballot of MPs was held on 18 October. The results were announced 10 minutes later than expected, at 5:30 p.m. by Sir Michael Spicer, the chairman of the 1922 committee. First ballot, there were no abstentions, with all 198 Conservative members voting. Cameron, Davis and Fox went through to the second ballot held on 20 October. The results were announced by the chairman of the 1922 committee at 5:30 p.m. Second ballot, Cameron and Davis went through to the runoff vote of the Conservative Party's 300,000 members. The votes were counted on 5 December and the winner, David Cameron, was announced shortly after 1500 on 6 December. The rules of the contest. Much speculation surrounded the review of the rules, as it is widely estimated that the system eventually adopted could prove a hindrance to particular candidates with strong support in certain areas of the party. However, on 27 September 2005, the proposal to change the rules was rejected. The current rules, under the rules adopted in 1998, under which both Ian Duncan Smith and Michael Howard were elected, a leadership contest can be initiated either by the incumbent leader resigning or by the parliamentary party passing a vote of no confidence in the present leader. The latter is called if 15% of the parliamentary party write to the chairman of the 1922 committee. If a vote of no confidence is passed, a leadership election is called and the incumbent is barred from standing in it. The returning officer is the chairman of the 1922 committee. Candidates must be nominated by any two MPs taking the Conservative whip. If only one candidate stands, then they are elected NEMCON. If two candidates stand, then the election immediately proceeds to a ballot of all members of the party. If more than two candidates stand, then MPs first hold a series of ballots to reduce the number to two. On each round, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. Candidates may also withdraw between rounds. The series of ballots by MPs continues until there are only two candidates remaining. At this point, the all-member ballot begins. This lasts for some weeks. To be eligible to vote, an individual has to have been a paid-up member of the party for at least 3 months. The candidate who tops the poll is declared leader. Criticisms of the current rules. Many criticisms have been made of the rules, in light of some problems encountered in previous elections. Technical, the provision for resolving a tie was originally lacking and hastily devised during the 2001 election. The tie-breaking mechanism is arguably clumsy. In the contests in both 1997 and 2001, the position of chairman of the 1922 committee was vacant for some weeks because the previous holder retired or was defeated in the recent general election. Many felt that this prolonged the contests unnecessarily and called for the returning officer to be a party office bearer who is unlikely to be vacant in the aftermath of a general election. Errors in the party's membership lists can lead to individual members being disenfranchised. Structural. Many have criticized the system as having been devised to try to answer those who believe that a leader should have the backing of the bulk of MPs, to answer demands for ordinary party members to have a say, and to allow for the removal of a failing leader. It is possible for a candidate to reach the final two with the support of barely a third of MPs in the final ballot and then be elected leader by the party members. Conversely, they are then vulnerable to being removed as leader by the MPs. Some have argued that party members are unrepresentative of the electorate at large and are prone to elect a leader reflecting the views rather than those of the country at large. Proposals to change the leadership election process. Initial proposals for electing a new leader. Following the Conservative Party's defeat at the 2005 general election, in a speech on 6 May 2005, Howard announced his intention to retire as leader of the Conservative Party. However, he indicated that before he stood down he wanted to oversee changes to the party's process of electing a new leader. These new proposals were set out in principle in the Conservative Party document A 21st Century Party. To be validly nominated, candidates would require the support of 10% of Conservative MPs. If one candidate is nominated by over half of the parliamentary party, he or she would automatically be declared leader. If no candidate is nominated by over half of the parliamentary party, each candidate would address and answer questions from the National Convention. The convention would then vote and the result of this election would be published. The MPs would then make the final choice. It will be for the 1922 committee to determine how they do this, but the candidate who received most votes from the National Convention would be guaranteed a place in each ballot, including the final ballot. Candidates would be allowed to spend up to £25,000 from the opening of nominations. The party treasurer would be responsible for raising this money for each candidate. Any money raised from other sources would be deducted from the money they received from the party treasurer. This proposal was put to the 1922 committee on 15 May 2005, but rejected. About 100 of the 180 backbenchers that attended the meeting instead endorsed a motion drawn up by the executive of the committee. The 1922 committee proposal included a consultative period with all local associations, but the choice of leader would ultimately be decided by the parliamentary party. Revised proposals for electing a new leader. Under the 1922 committee proposed system, Sir Michael Spicer, chairman of the 1922 Committee of MPs, would seek nominations for leader from Conservative members of Parliament. Contenders would need the support of 5% of the party, or 10 MPs, in order to stand. Once nominations had closed, MPs would then start a 2-week consultation process with the constituencies, MEPs and local councillors to ascertain the preferred candidates. They would then report back to Sir Michael, who would assess the findings and inform MPs of the two candidates who gained most support. In order of preference, MPs would then hold the first ballot, in which all nominated candidates would be able to participate. As in the current system, the MP with the lowest number of votes would be eliminated. The process would then be repeated, as required, until one candidate remained. Andrew Tyree, the Conservative MP for Chichester, hailed the decision by the parliamentary party to accept the new proposals by 127 votes to 50. on the 20th of July 2005 at a meeting of the 1922 committee as a victory for common sense. The 1922 committee proposal was then put to the Conservative Party board, which duly supported it. Following this result, party chairman Francis Maude commented, "I am pleased that these changes, agreed by the party board and the 1922 committee, are going to be put forward. If these changes go through, the Conservative Party will have a new leader in place by the middle of November." However, other MPs were less enthusiastic about the new system. In a letter to the Daily Telegraph, a number of MPs, including David Willits, Michael Ancrum, Andrew Lansley, Theresa May and Ian Duncan Smith, wrote, "It is not too late for the parliamentary party to find a way of involving grassroots members in the Conservative Party's most important decisions. Any proposals that do not facilitate democratic involvement deserve to be defeated." Proposal not backed by the Constitutional College. When the results of the ballot of the Constitutional College of the Conservative Party were announced on the 27th of September 2005, the proposals had failed to gain enough backing. A total of 1,001 ballots were returned. The votes in each section were. This equated to a total of 61% of the Constitutional College in favor. For the changes to be approved, 50% of all those eligible to vote were required to vote in favor, along with 66% of MPs who voted and 66% of the National Convention members who voted. It is this final threshold that was not reached. As a result of the Constitutional College ballot, no changes were made to the party's rules on electing a leader. Timeline of events. The 6th of May 2005. In the aftermath of the 2005 general election, Michael Howard announces that there will be a review of the rules for electing a leader, and that once this review is complete he will stand down. Shadow Chancellor Oliver Letwin immediately confirms he will not be standing. The 10th of May 2005, Michael Howard unveils the new shadow cabinet with most potential leadership candidates in key positions. Much speculation surrounds the appointment of George Osborne as Shadow Chancellor, facing Gordon Brown, widely expected to become the next leader of the Labour Party. The 20th of May 2005, George Osborne rules himself out of the leadership contest. The 21st of May 2005, a survey of local party chairmen in Conservative-held seats finds that the majority of respondents are happy for MPs to select the leader. The 22nd of May 2005, former Deputy Prime Minister Michael Heseltine declares that he believes Kenneth Clarke is the best candidate to lead the party, but that Clarke is anguishing over whether to stand. The 22nd of May 2005, David Davis is reported to be undecided about whether to stand, stating that he always made his mind up about these things at the last possible minute. The 23rd of May 2005, Andrew Lansley calls for the party to radically reform itself, calling for the description "Reform Conservatives" to be used. He states he is undecided about whether or not to stand for the leadership. The 24th of May 2005, former leader Ian Duncan Smith cautions against proposals to remove grassroots members say in the selection of the leader. The 25th of May 2005, a consultation document on party reforms is formally circulated, including proposals to change the way the leader is elected, giving the final say to MPs and withdrawing the all-party member ballot. The 27th of May 2005, Kenneth Clarke is reported to be contemplating a leadership bid. Many commentators believe that Clarke's position on the European Union will hinder a bid, as on previous occasions. The 29th of May 2005, a referendum in France rejects the EU constitution. Many commentators believe that this makes it likely that the constitution will no longer be an issue in UK politics, that this this removes a major obstacle to a clerk leadership. The 1st of June 2005, a referendum in the Netherlands also rejects the constitution, reinforcing mounting speculation that the constitution will be abandoned and that this in turn makes Kenneth Clarke a more viable contender. The 2nd of June 2005, former leader Ian Duncan Smith calls for the next leader to be from the mainstream of Eurosceptic opinion in what is seen as a dismissal of Kenneth Clarke. The 2nd of June 2005, David Willetts calls for the party to place a greater focus on social justice and a stronger society. The 5th of June 2005, in a series of articles and interviews, David Davis sets out his vision of the Conservative Party, emphasizing the need to maintain its traditional values. The 5th of June 2005, Kenneth Clarke declares that he believes the Constitution plainly is no more. The 8th of June 2005, Sir Malcolm Rifkin states that it is quite likely he will stand for the leadership. The 9th of June 2005, Crispin Blunt, MP for Reigate, resigns as a whip in order to support Rifkin's bid. The 10th of June 2005, Alan Duncan becomes the first candidate to confirm his desire to seek the leadership. The 13th of June 2005, Tim Yeo states in an interview that he feels there are too many candidates for the leadership and calls for the plethora of would-be leaders for the party's liberal wing to unite around a single candidate. The 14th of June 2005, former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher calls for the party to return to first principles. The 15th of June 2005, at a meeting of the 1922 Backbench Committee, Conservative MPs holds an indicative vote on several proposed options for electing the leader. A system where MPs select the leader with a formal consultation of members is the preferred option. The 16th of June 2005, Theresa May calls for the party to select high-caliber candidates for the 100 top target seats, including 50 women. The 16th of June 2005, in an interview, David Cameron hints at a leadership bid. The 17th of June 2005, high-profile Conservative MP Boris Johnson says that he will back Cameron. The 18th of June 2005, Ian Taylor, widely seen as a key ally of Kenneth Clarke, indicates that David Davis could be the person to unify all wings of the party. Another Clarke ally, David E. Curry, however, suggests that Clarke is the best qualified candidate. The 19th of June 2005, Kenneth Clarke declares that he is keen to run from the leadership, though notes that there will be some months in which to make a final decision. The 29th of June 2005, David Cameron makes a speech entitled "We're All in It Together," in which he sets out his views on the future of the party and calls for families and married couples to receive greater support from the government. The 29th of June 2005, two former party treasurers declare support for different candidates in the Evening Standard. Lord Harris supports David Cameron whilst Lord Calmes supports David Davis. The 1st of July 2005, Kenneth Clarke declares that he has sufficient support in the parliamentary party to be nominated for the leadership and that he will be a candidate unless it becomes clear by the autumn that I don't have a serious prospect. The 3rd of July 2005, Oliver Letwin declares his support for David Cameron, increasing the latter's chances of being the main challenger from the left of the party. The 5th of July 2005, Michael Ancram warns that removing ordinary members, say in electing a leader, will not make the party more attractive to voters. The 6th of July 2005, Conservative MPs at a meeting of the 1922 Backbench Committee agree a system whereby a candidate with the support of 5% of MPs could stand, and with a consultative poll of constituency party chairmen, who would each put forward 2 names, but with MPs making the final decisions. The 18th of July 2005, Alan Duncan rules himself out of the leadership race in an article in The Guardian. The 18th of July 2005, as Duncan withdraws, Theresa May states, "I will be thinking about whether to stand." The 19th of July 2005, a survey of primarily Conservative Party members and supporters reveals that there is strong support for MPs making the final decision, but also strong support for ordinary party members having a formal say in the process. The same survey finds David Davis to be the most popular choice amongst respondents. The 21st of July 2005, MPs finish voting on proposals to change the rules and back a system that gives them the final say. Objections to removing the role of grassroots members are made by the Campaign for Conservative Democracy and by prominent Conservative MPs, including Theresa May, Andrew Lansley, Ian Duncan Smith, Michael Ancram and David Willits. The 27th of August 2005, Tim Yeo announces that he will not stand as the leader of the Conservative Party, as he thinks that the pro-European Kenneth Clarke is the best candidate to succeed Michael Howard as Conservative leader. He said that he would not stand, but he would support Kenneth Clarke through the leadership election. The 31st of August 2005, after a day of expectation, Kenneth Clarke formally launches his bid. Supporters at his press conference include Anne Widdecombe, John Bercow and Tim Yeo. The 5th of September 2005, Liam Fox declares his intention to stand as leader of the Conservative Party. The 27th of September 2005, proposal to change the rules for electing a new leader is rejected. The 29th of September 2005, David Davis and David Cameron both officially launch their election campaigns. The 3rd of October 2005, Andrew Lansley rules himself out of the contest, citing a lack of support. The 5th of October 2005, Deputy Leader Michael Ancram rules himself out of the contest, citing a lack of support. He also announces he will return to the backbenches when the new leader is elected. The 11th of October 2005, Sir Malcolm Rifkind announces that he will no longer stand in the contest from the leadership and backs Kenneth Clarke. The 12th of October 2005, Theresa May rules herself out of the contest and backs David Cameron. The 12th of October 2005, it is reported that the Cornerstone group of right-wing Conservative MPs will not field a candidate of their own, otherwise expected to be Edward Lee, but will instead support Liam Fox. The 18th of October 2005, Kenneth Clarke is eliminated in the first ballot of MPs. The 20th of October 2005, Liam Fox is eliminated in the second ballot of MPs. The 13th of November 2005, former Conservative leader William Hague declared his support for Cameron in an article written for the News of the World. The 6th of December 2005, David Cameron's victory announced. Election timetable. The 7th of October, nominations open. The 13th of October, nominations close. The 18th of October, first ballot of MPs. The 20th of October, second ballot of MPs. Subsequent Tuesdays and Thursdays, further ballots of MPs if required, until only 2 candidates remain. The 5th of December, members' ballot closes. The 6th of December, result announced. Party conference. At the 2005 Conservative Party conference, each of the 5 announced candidates at the time was allowed a 20-minute speech. This was seen by many as the start of the leadership campaign by each of the candidates, and the speeches were closely analyzed by party members and the media. Many felt that frontrunner David Davis had performed rather poorly, while the speeches of Kenneth Clarke, Liam Fox, Sir Malcolm Rifkind and David Cameron were much better. This led to a rapid change in the odds of the 5 candidates on the betting markets. On the morning of the 6th of October, David Davis was the clear leader and David Cameron third, but by the evening of the same day the two had swapped places. By the end of the conference, David Cameron had become the front-runner, with Ken Clark and David Davis closely behind. The conference was also seen as similar to the Conservatives' 1963 conference, where there was also a race to become leader. Polling. The Sunday Times and YouGov polled 746 members of the Conservative Party just after the conference. The poll showed support slipping away from David Davis and Ken Clark and moving to Liam Fox and David Cameron instead. The Daily Telegraph and YouGov polled 665 members of the Conservative Party just after the first ballot, where Clark was eliminated, leaving only 3 contestants. The poll showed that 59% backed David Cameron, against 18% for Liam Fox and 15% for Mr. Davis. This poll showed support for Mr. Cameron being strong amongst the grassroots of the party on the eve of the final ballot. In a YouGov poll published on the 12th of November, more than 2/3 of party members look set to vote for the younger candidate as party leader. Around 68% of voters who had already returned the ballot papers had opted for Mr. Cameron, while 66% of those still to vote said they were likely to choose him over the then Shadow Home Secretary David Davis. 57% of those still to vote said they may change their minds between then and the postal ballot deadline on the 5th of December. Result: the final decision made by the 253,600 Conservative members and announced on the 6th of December was a victory for David Cameron. 198,844 voted, 134,446 for Cameron, 64,398 for Davis. Mr. Cameron said his party now had to change how they looked, felt and behaved. He set out core challenges for his leadership, creating a full-bodied economic policy which went beyond just tax, giving freedom to those on the front line in public services, national and international security, and ensuring social justice by strengthening the voluntary sector.